You get entertainment while you're getting to take care of chores. That ain't too bad. The rest of it, in terms of larger projects, primarily things are in process. I would be real surprised if in the very near future we don't see some kind of actions and results, simply because there has been too much going on that has been too finely focused on results from problems people have created. Now, I'll give you an instance of a little bit of news I heard. One was that Putin, the guy in Russia, put out an arrest warrant for George Soros, because George Soros was going to attack their stock market with a bunch of phony,
toxic,
financial stuff. Okay. Recently, Mr. Putin upped the ante a little bit, contacted the International Criminal Court, and preferred charges against George Soros globally. Now, that means there's only just a couple of 3-4 places he can go without being arrested. So and from what I understand, the man's a troublemaker financially. That may be one of the ways, that may be one of the problems taken care of already. I don't know yet. But that sort of thing is the size of the basic project going on here in the United States. It's huge. It's extraordinarily complicated, and I mean it's complicated like a whole school full of grade schoolers would be it'd be like trying to herd cats. I mean, it's something that's just beyond most people's comprehension. It's extraordinarily complicated, but there's a few little items that you can look at. Last week, some things came due and payable in terms of settlements, and they didn't happen. The absolute deadline is this coming week. If the world is having all kind of fun and games and problems, what better time to start arresting the turkeys that did it to us? I would think that would be, perfect time. But I don't know. Nobody has contacted me and stated exactly, this or that, because there's too many variables. You got too many individuals. This guy might do this, but then again, he could do that. You don't know which way the guy's going to jump. So you don't know which way to run your plan until he does. And this is the kind of thing, this is why we have a waiting period. The forces involved in this, to my understanding, are getting in tactical position to be able to take care of the problems. Hopefully this will be sooner than later, but it is, as I understand it, an ongoing, in-process thing, and they don't want nobody saying nothing other than what I just said. So that's about as far as I can go. Next question.
Did that answer anything for you?
Yes, it did. The biggest problem that we have here, anyway, in Albuquerque, because we do have a group, is most of the group doesn't believe any of this. They can't see any of it happening. And even though we put articles in front of their face, they still say it'll never happen, it'll never happen. And so...
Well, what is it they don't believe? What is being done to us, or that we actually can stop it?
Well, interesting question. They know what's happening, but they don't see any way out of it. They don't understand any of the information that we're giving them, and they're unwilling to listen to your radio show or look up information on the net. They're in their own little box, and we can't.
Well, are they the standard? If that were true, it would be on the mainstream news.
Oh, absolutely! Isn't everything?
Well, then it's indoctrination, and you can't fight that. People have to be willing to want to know, and when they realize, even in their subconscious, that knowing is going to bring with it responsibility. Until they're ready to stand up and accept that responsibility, they're not going to open their minds.
Oh, I agree with you on that. There's no doubt about that. Because my poor son and I are trying to get them prepared. We're trying to prepare everybody to do exactly as Drake has been talking about. Get a couple extra cans of food. Get a Berkey water filter, you know, whatever the case may be. And
or
they
if
just
you
think we're crazy.
if you see your neighbor has a wheelchair ramp into their house or up to their porch or whatever, and you've never met that neighbor, if you go out to take a trip to Walmart, would it really kill you to walk across the street, knock on the door, and say, you know, I see, you know, getting around and getting to the store might be difficult for you. I'm on my way to Walmart. Is there anything I could pick up for you? Bingo.
Oh, you're absolutely right. As a matter of fact, I have a girlfriend that is in the wheelchair, and I take her shopping all the time.
Right, but how many of us drive by our neighbors down the street and we notice they have a ramp? We may never have met them or run into them in the store or even seen them, except maybe going in and out of a car in a wheelchair or whatever. And it doesn't occur to us to run across the street or run down the street and say, you know, I've got the lawnmower out, and I notice your grass is a little tall. Could I take care of that for you? Or could I pick up something at the store for you? You know, it's going to be hard for people like that to do what we're telling everyone else to do.
I'll make another suggestion, if y'all don't mind. One of the things I've found is that a lot of people end up spending a lot of time trying to talk to people that don't want to hear it. One of the ways to take care of that is don't worry about those people much anymore. Go ahead and talk to them, but don't try to have a serious discussion about what you're talking about when they refuse it. Simply go to the next person.
If you get that glazed over look, when you get the grocery clerk at the store, they might be willing to listen. It could be the guy that's cleaning sewers, and you taking a bottle of cold water or something. I mean, there's 1,000 million silly ways that you can take care of that problem. The main problem in society today is I, me, I. I'm first, and I'm going to be first, and you can have whatever's left, maybe. Well, and I don't want to talk to you. I'm scared. Most ladies think that a man's going to do something nasty to them. Most men do not want to have a lady attack them with a purse because they're liberated, and you better not open the door for them. So you got this fear quality, and that sort of thing has been part of the plan since forever. Yep. This is why blacks are not to be trusted by whites, and blacks don't trust whites, and ring around the rosy. This is all garbage. It's all been manufactured, and these people that have done this on purpose in order to keep us separated. The reason they want us separated is that when we get together, we might just find out that the dude down the street that's purple wants to live his life. Well, people are going to look at him funny because of his color if he's purple. Anyway, he'll get used to it, he'll get over it. His friends ain't going to worry about it. People that actually got the guts to go talk to him and say, how's it going? Hey, man, you want a cold beer? Sure. And you sit on the porch and you discuss things. You find that you end up with a rapport. You end up with the family-oriented community relationship that leads to county-wide, statewide, countrywide society. And that society does have moral values. You don't hurt little kids just because you're bigger than they are. Simple stuff. And this spreads. When people see that there's a better life, they go for it. On that note, Drake, I mean, you really touched on the secret, especially with, I think what I heard her say was that some of these people are aware of what's happening, but they are of the opinion that there's nothing they can do about it, or that we are unable to do something about it. And the answer to that really is, look around your own community, wherever it is that you live, and first of all, start noticing little ways that anybody, you or your neighbor or the guy who walks around the block every night, little things that you can do to raise awareness of how we're supposed to live amongst each other, how we are supposed to interact with one another. Like what I said, notice who has a ramp on their house. No, you will notice if you see the same woman or the same man always walking with a grocery bag from the grocery store for however far they've got to go home, back and forth. That tells you right there that person has no transportation. And the next time someone says to you, well, we can't do anything about it, you can say, well, would you be able to attend a city council meeting and maybe let your neighbors who can't go know what's going on at the city level? Or would you be able to give Mrs. So-and-so on such and such a block a ride to the store once a week? Or something like that, just little things, and say, you don't have to change the world. You don't have to be able to run for office and hold a position and make monumental decisions. All you need to do to turn this around is learn how to be Americans again. Common, decent, moral people, and how to interact with each other. Instead of shutting your door and closing out the world and not looking beyond that front door as to what is happening and what is possible.
People need to start needing each other instead of depending on government handouts. I think that's a great place to start. Kind of like my neighbors, which I've said before. You know, they grow something specific. I grow something specific. Well, I now also have farm animals that produce various foods to eat that my neighbors don't have. So we just kind of trade back and forth and help each other out that way. Or
yeah, regardless of the codes.
Right. I may have more land so they can come over and plant extra stuff on my land, but I don't have the big industrial heavy-duty tiller, but they do. So they till up my garden spot for me. And it's just kind of working together with your neighbors. And that's what really builds a strong rapport and relationship, and that's kind of where we all need to start.
Another thing that I think, I know people are overlooking because they are not aware that we're dealing with this problem. Probably the biggest reason that we've ended up in this mess to begin with is our Department of Education. And that was taken over a lot longer ago than you think. The Department of Education came into being in 1965, and it pretty much got completely, taken over by 1974. And there was an insidious plan that was hatched back during Woodrow Wilson's time, and they have accomplished it. So parents out there, start looking, reading what they are teaching your children. Pick up their history books. Find out what it is that school is putting into that precious little head. And I'll tell you right now, they're not going to stop it. They're not going to change it. It's up to you. If you don't have the wherewithal to get them out of the public school system and into homeschooling or private school or something better, then the least you can do is identify the lies they're teaching your children, or just the flat-out omission of the truth in most cases, and teach them yourself. If they're not being taught our nation's history, our founding documents, the fact that the Declaration of Independence isn't even titled the Declaration of Independence.
Schools may not even be there.
Yeah, who wrote it? What our founders said and what they meant. What kind of government this country is supposed to be. And I guarantee you it's not a democracy. You will not find that word anywhere in our founding documents.
One
So
of the main things,
if you
Terry,
find
I see
that your kids are being, and you are going to find that they're being indoctrinated, it's a workforce training program and not an education